So James is having some salmon, kale, cucumber, baked potato with pizza sauce, nasturtium flowers, borage blossoms, tomatoes, sautéed shallots, which I overdid a little bit, and some romaine lettuce with some chimichurri sauce. And he'll talk about civilization and maybe some ancient female rulers. And
definitely,
most importantly, he has to get this one done because...
When does it have to be returned?
Today.
By tomorrow?
Yeah. So go on ahead, James. You're the one who's talking.
I'm going to do the Waterton one. I've been threatening to do it.
Okay.
Quite a while. If you did. So we're planning on doing a hike in Waterton tomorrow.
Okay.
And I'm already feeling phantom limbs in syndrome because there's supposed to be a 30% chance of thunder showers and water, and we got to plan we're going to go up there, and 30% chance in the late afternoon, so we've got to get the walk.
So we got to get the walk done. We have to be back within the trees before late afternoon, for sure.
Not exposed and not at high elevations. And this book is really, I won't say it's indispensable, but it is very, very comprehensive. So I'll show you one of the walks that I was planning tentatively to do but we won't because it's so long. So it's accessed off Bacamina. So just check. You can Bacamina Parkway, and it's Sage. Or rather, it's Red Rock Parkway, Sage Pass, 42. So here we go. So what does it say? Strenuous length. So it's a lot of length. Height gain 600. It'll tell you height gain 630 meters. And then I was thinking of going to Sage Pass Peak. That would be 149 meters. Now we've done that, something like that. It would be 779 meters cumulatively. And then I was thinking of going to Sage Senior, but that would have to add 280 meters, which would get us, I think, around 1,000 meters. We've done that sort of stuff. The length would be 27.8 meters, 27.8 kilometers, and it would be over 30 kilometers. I can figure that out. It shows the various stages along the pathway here. That's a snowshoe trail, snowshoe campsite. You go on to the campsite by Twin Lakes, and then you go up to Sage Pass here, then you go to Sage Pass Peak, and then up to Sage, what they call Sage Senior, what he calls Andrew Nugara. Well, Sage Senior. It's got topographic, it's got the contour lines to show you the topographic features. So I can tell from this, here you can see it's not marked on the map because it's not important for this. Well, he actually doesn't deal with this part of Avian Ridge, but the Avian Ridge Trail it probably goes along here, and then definitely along here. This is Goat Lake, and you get up on the col between Avian Ridge here and Mount Newman here. That's stuff like that. I can just tell from the contour lines what the stuff is. So, and then it's got wooded areas. They're not that wooded, many of these, for example, along here, anymore. But the woods are coming in slowly from the fire in Waterton, Keno fire, they call it, 2017. So if you're, and it's got, it shows Andrew Nugara walking. I think that's him. Yeah, Nugara clan. So I presume that's him. And kids. And this is going up Lost Horse Creek. I don't think you could take the kids very far up the Lost Horse Creek because it gets fairly challenging higher up. It's only about, I think, 1.2 or 1.4 kilometers long. And what's that accent? Lost Horse Creek. I'll just see how much I've internalized this. I haven't internalized everything. That's why I'm feeling this phantom limb syndrome. 1.5 actually kilometers from the trailhead off of the Red Rock Parkway up to the end, kind of where the creek splits. And maybe it's a little bit too exciting even for venturesome people. So he does have kids, one of them wearing a helmet, going up a little bit the extension of Bear's Hump. So he shows the trail going up Bear's Hump, lots of switchbacks, and then I don't think he would let the kids go up as far as the dotted line indicates. You can go relatively safely there, but yeah, here he's got the kids going up Bear's Hump. But he's got stuff that's scrambled. I don't think he has much here that's really dangerous scrambles, and he will tell people don't try routes down, particularly down, but maybe sometimes up certain things. So this comes highly recommended actually to get from your library. Unfortunately, this goes back to the library. It's probably gone to us for the rest of the summer. And if you're going, let me see, what were we looking at? Carthew Alderson, that's up Acamina. Carthew Alderson Lakes, 95. I think it's on page 90. Yeah. So I'll show you how it goes from kind of for kids. So we did this a while back. So there's some switchbacks here. He seems to have a different route that maybe he recommends. We went up the dotted line there to Summit Lake. This is fairly, it's well graded. It gets a little bit exciting along here. What I did was went out to the high point, which last year, because it was windy, I didn't feel up to doing. It was handleable. But this one, we saw a couple of guys who'd come down off of here, and I walked with them a little while down here. They were going up onto this. They'd gone to the top of Mount Carthew. They could have been making it up, but I'm telling you, I saw them right on the peak when we were down in these lakes down here, much lower. We saw two figures up there. They'd made it up there in apple pie order and in a fairly short time. But that, when I saw this going up this ridge, I was going, wow, that's steep. And he does say it's I think very strenuous steepness. So that's going to the top of Mount Alderson. I'll just see what it says for it. Yeah, very strenuous length and steepness. So it has lots and lots of detail. It probably cost something like $20.
I think it says on the back.
$22. I got its companion volume for $20 and change, as I recall. Maybe it's priced a little less. Maybe it was $22. Anyway, the companion volume was for Crow's Nest. What else? The Castle Basin. How important is it to know what you're doing? Just on the news. It was the local news on CBC for Calgary, and they were saying helicopters had been sent out onto a ridge to pick up two guys. Why did it make the news? It was the bottom of the ridge.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. We saw
So you
saw
got to know what you're doing.
a group of young men. We were walking. It was the end of the day, and we were just getting, using up the rest of our time for the day on Wishbone. And we're a little wary of traveling Wishbone this time of year because it's berry season anyway. But while we were walking to our destination, which was just the second bridge that day, we came across a group of young men
2 kilometers in
who
or something.
had just finished doing the ridge. They went up Vimy Ridge, went up Vimy, the peak and then the ridge and then back down, right? And
I'm not sure if they'd done all of the ridge, but they'd done at least some of it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I guess we don't know, but I think they did. And I don't know why you wouldn't, but I wouldn't on a day like that because we were doing Wishbone because it was extremely windy.
It was quite windy, yeah.
And
way too windy to be up at exposures.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, they were young, and they were in shape.
They were.
So,
they made it back down. Not the quick way. Nobody wants to make it down the quick way. So, yeah. Anyway, but there's lovely pictures in this book, and it's worth getting out just for the pictures. Yeah, the photos are amazing. And there's a picture of a view from Vimy Ridge that shows Crip Lake. So apparently, when you hike up there, you can look right down on Crip Lake.
So you're looking down onto a different
hike.
Yeah, so I'll show them where it is, and I'll show them the view. It's awesome, and then I'll show them what they're looking in. So, Vimy, that's one thing they could have actually done well, it's because they kind of categorize it under access off Red Rock Parkway, access off Acamina Parkway.
But you want that one.
Exactly right. But I'm just mentioning that it might be better if they'd had. Do they have a way of just accessing, because you have to know where to. If you're a stranger to the park,
I don't know. I actually like the way he's done that.
Well, it's important because he doesn't have a map necessarily for every one. Yeah. So for Blackiston Falls and Blackiston Valley, that would be just one map. Yeah. Because Blackiston Falls is on the Blackiston Valley route. Same sort of thing with Carthew Summit, Carthew Alderson Lakes, and Summit Lake. He only has, I think, 2 maps for that instead of the 3. So it's to save space. You could be lugging this along with you, and you could take it in the backpack. You take stuff that's roughly this size when it's flower identification thing. So 146. That's the route. And then I think it's at the beginning of this. Yeah, it's at the beginning of the additional routes. You don't think of Vimy Ridge as being near to the Crip Lake Trail, but this is how high up you get. Now this is the far part of the Vimy Ridge. If those kids made it that far, you see, like you can do Vimy Ridge and come down a circle route, but if you go to the end of Vimy Ridge, where this guy is, you got to go way out there and then return back.
Oh, I see.
So
there's something like that when you go up. When you do Acamina too, you can go off and do another little bit and then go back.
Yeah. At any rate, there's Crip Lake way down below, and it is quite an effort to get to as high as Crip Lake is.
Yeah.
And this is significantly above there.
Yeah, I think it's more challenging for sure than Crypt.
So you can see the upper trail. This is beyond the cable and the ladder, the tunnel, and cable. This is just the last stage of the trail, I'd say that is. But here it is. Well, they have quite a few maps. So this is the Wishbone Trail, which comes up to, and it goes down here to the Crip Lake Landing. And you can go out, and there's a viewpoint over the town site. That's not the viewpoint I was showing you. Doop-a-doop-a-doop. You recognize this when that viewpoint of going up to Vimy Peak, right? Mm. That's when it was starting to get steep, things like that. I think they've actually taken the shortcut there. Anyway, I think what the kids had done is come up to Vimy Peak and then came to this first high point, what they call the first high point in this book, and then they'd come down again. But maybe they made it all the way down here. So that's the summit of the Vimy Ridge. And you can see here is the Crip Lake Trail, and there's Crip Lake. So that's the viewpoint that guy is looking down on Crip Lake. So it's very, very close to Crip Lake. This is, I'll show you one more thing. It's stunning. It's actually, I don't know if they've retouched it or what. So it would be access of what is it? Bellevue Trail. Look that up. Bellevue Hill, 136. Not sure if it's under this entry. So they show the colors of Bellevue Hill. Bellevue Prairie Trail. It's actually that trail north. Look at this. I mean, it looks as though it's touched up, but I think it was done in the morning time. Bellevue Hill, you know, it's got how it's got that sandwich in green with a few stripes of red. So that's both of those are argillite. One is green argillite, one is red argillite. But just stunning photos here. I don't know how they can get the sharp resolution, but that's modern day technology. And I don't know how much it costs to put that out. It's pretty durable kind of thing, you know, like it's not, even the sheets inside, not just the covers, are pretty durable and stuff like that. I don't know if they'd be really waterproof, but you kind of get the feeling it almost might be. So civilization, I've got that. I'll be giving you a further review of that.
Yeah, James just finished the second disc.
Yeah.
And I was interested to hear about, he said a lot about China.
Yeah, he did?
Yeah. And I was interested to learn about Jesus' brother. That was interesting. That was, I had no idea.
Yeah. So I think that was, what is it, the Taiping Rebellion? Not quite 200 years ago, 50 years ago. And so it was a bad reaction to Christianity. There's been a lot of, he's talking about how superior Western civilization is to all the rest. And basically the thing that makes it superior, more than anything else perhaps, aside from democracy, which it didn't pick up from anyone else, despite all sorts of nifty, shifty, hefty lefties saying that democracy was devised by indigenous groups and even spread from United States to Europe. Say what?
Yeah, but I found another thing interesting that he was talking about, how he says that the West has lost a lot of the Christian values that,
especially in Europe,
that other countries like China are picking up on. Right, the Christian values are taking off there, but
some people in China.
He says there's a lot of people in the West who are, I guess, dispirited with the system, and there's a lot of trespassing on private property and all that sort of thing.
He'd be talking about socialism.
But
he's talking about that.
Well, I don't know. I have some theories about it too. You know,
about socialism,
about why that is. I think it's not to do with Christianity. It's to do with capitalism, and it's just but it's like a weird mesh between capitalism and socialism that is playing with society in a way that, like, say, we talked to that young man years ago about, he'd been in the foster care system.
Oh, yeah.
And he was talking, we met him at Waterton, he was a lovely young man. And he was talking about how he wished that the foster system would have left him with his family because his family loved him and he would have been better off there. So I think one personality type out of the 4 main groups of the DISC model, the aggressive propagandists are really favored by capitalist society because they're kids forever. They're just consumers. I want candy every day for supper, or whatever, right? And I think however well-intentioned the foster care system is, or maybe there's a lot of good people, a lot of good foster parents in there, I'm sure, and but there's sometimes things go wrong and the children who come out of that end up more aggressive than they would have been otherwise. And I wonder sometimes if it's intentional, if the system is trying to create more aggressive propagandists just so that they can create more consumers. But I don't know. It's something to think about.
I think most of the abuse actually comes before kids get put into foster homes. It's when they're in the clutches of the bureaucracy, when they're not the equivalent of
you're right.
orphanages.
Yeah.
That's when one of my nephews got so badly abused. We're talking about anal gang rape, and he'd been taken.
So he was in temporary placement or something like that, the equivalent of that, before they actually put him into a good
so
foster.
Finally, he was put in his foster parents kind of like contacted our family and stuff like that. They'd been told by
the powers that be,
bureaucrats that our family didn't want him, and they were trusting his mom. And his mom was the kind of person who'd be pinching him. She'd been caught, I guess, more than once pinching him. He was a wee little baby. You criminal woman. You vicious.
Poor little guy.
So he'd been abused, but I understand it hadn't been taken away from her, taken away from my brother after she had left my brother, and he'd been going to work, and he hadn't been able to afford to put him in a daycare center or get a babysitter or stuff like that. So for neglect, they took him away.
Yeah.
That's
so your brother hadn't
neglect
asked your family
by
for help,
comparison with
the foster system
gang
didn't ask your
anal
family
rape.
for help.
Well, they asked her.
Yeah, but not your family. No.
Asked her. This woman who they said, "Do you want to take him?" No, like I guess pinching wasn't enough excitement for her. No, she didn't want him. Does anyone on your former husband's side of the family? Oh no. Say what? Say what? What's that about? We're not a litigious family, but we should have sued the stinking socks and the unwashed underwear off those dumb pukes.
Yeah. So they didn't do their due diligence within the government, and
then as a result, the kid got abused, not neglected, abused. Thank you, government of Alberta.
We've heard a lot of stories like that.
Lots of them like that.
Anyway. So does that one happen to be closer to home than a lot of other people that we've heard who've been traumatized? But anyway, I interrupted the civilization, your talk, and you went off on a tangent. And
nothing's a tangent, really, in the sense of being a dead end. It's important to deal with that kind of stuff. At any rate, Miss Neil Ferguson's married to Ian Hersey Alley, and she's made a long trip from belonging to the Muslim Brotherhood. How much time?
4 minutes.
Okay. So being a Muslim
extra fundamentalist. When you say it's a fundamentalist, you're ignoring the Muslim Brotherhood fundamentalists. You're ignoring the fact that Islam is fundamentalist. It's fundamentalist within the Hebrew, Christian, Judeo-Christian religion, complex of religions. It harks back in the way that I don't think any Jews really are as fundamentalist as just middle of the road Muslims are. It harks back to ancient Judaism with the traditional punishments for adultery and I don't know, even the traditional blasphemy and apostasy. It's stunning, like ancient historians date Moses to around 1200 BC, so at the very least this is standard everyday Islam. Not the kind of stuff that you used to see amongst professors in Western universities. That's not standard. Get it straight. The average Muslim basically harks back to Mosaic law, or a misappropriation of the Mosaic law, which is dated at 1200 BC. It's actually 1850 BC, but we'll go with 1200 BC. So how good is your arithmetic, you humanists, you people that hang out on that side of things? 1200 plus 2000 is 3,200 years old. That's modern day Islam, standard Islam. And you can say, oh, there's so many different varieties.
How many years did you say?
Minimum of 3,200 years.
That doesn't even make sense. Islam isn't that old a religion.
What I'm saying is it harks back to Mosaic law. So he's conventionally dated now.
So you're saying it's like it's more fundamentalist than like the Old Testament or something. Yeah.
So as fundamentalist. Okay. So the Old Testament, the first part, was theoretically written by Moses. And so it would date back to the beginning of the recording of Genesis. Everything after Genesis comes after Moses, or during his time. That's theoretical. So it harks back to that stuff with very few exceptions. Circumcision. Who invented circumcision? Well, Moses. Yeah, Muslims do it, right? Halal, that's basically a version of kosher. On and on it goes. When within the Judeo-Christian tradition, when Muslims had, or Muhammad, when he had a choice between the two, almost every time he goes for the older tradition, the Judeo part of the Judeo-Christian thing. And the thing about the Jews is, you see, what really civilized them was they didn't want it, but when they got separation of church and state, when they were kicked out of so-called Palestine, it really should be called Israel, outside of Philistia, modern-day Gaza Strip. Though that's what Palestine means originally. It means Philistine or Philistia. Check it out. Don't check it out. I don't care. But how much time?
That's it.